Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's John Campea, and this is a companion video. What is a companion video? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every morning on the John Campea Show and in the afternoons on Open Mic, we take live questions from the audience, but sometimes we don't have time to get around to all those live questions. But I want to make sure you guys know that when you send those questions in, they do get addressed in a video. So we take those questions that weren't used and we answer them here on the companion videos. We got a lot of companion video questions to get caught up on this weekend, so we're gonna have a few videos this weekend. So let's get things started with the first question we're gonna get caught up on from Alan Jensen, who writes, when is Disney gonna realize that the gun firing did more to damage their brand than the tweet ever could, and admittance would do wonders for them? Well, I mean, it really all depends on how you look at it. Look, as much as I have criticized, like, say, Alan Horn's handling of it, the fact of the matter is, we do need to acknowledge Disney was put, through no fault of their own initially, they were put in a very difficult position. And there's only one person to blame for that, and that's James Gunn, right? Look, it was James, this situation is James Gunn's fault. There's no getting around that. And Disney was put in a very difficult situation. Now, I still believe, and I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. Had Disney been sincere, and if Alan Horn hadn't been disingenuous and just come out and said, hey, we are aware of James Gunn used to be a director for Troma, and a studio based on making shock value kind of films, like really debase shock value movies that a lot of people get a kick out of. But we know that's where he came from, and he carried that humor over, and he did some stuff, wrote some tweets, like 20 or 30 tweets a number of years ago that were really distasteful, that he was going for shock value. We understood at the time. We've talked to him about it. We are comfortable with who he is as a person now. However, now that these tweets have come to light again, we understand and respect the feelings of our viewers who may have been offended by his tweets, whatever. Therefore, we have spoken with James and we've mutually decided it is best right now for us to part ways with James. We wish James Gunn all the best in his future endeavors, and we at Disney look forward to seeing what he does in the future. And we also look forward to focusing on making Guardians of the Galaxy 3 the best movie it can be. Blah. Had they put out a statement like that, there still would have been some people upset, but I think it would have gone over a lot better. I really do. Instead, Alan Horn played the dummy. Oh, we didn't know. Oh my goodness, what? Lies. And he did that and came out without taking time to consider it, without consulting with enough people. The reports are right now that Kevin Feige found out about James Gunn's firing from the news. He clearly did not consult with enough people, Alan Horn. He clearly did not take enough time to deliberate it. He clearly did not do a lot of stuff. And he just came out and said, oh, upon discovering these tweets, lies, you knew about them already. Upon discovering these tweets, we've decided to end our business relationship with him. Like, if he hadn't done that, and instead made the other statement, still parting ways with James Gunn, I think it would have gone over much better. And yes, some people would still be upset, but I think at the end of the day, I don't even think we'd still be talking about this, to be honest with you. I think they would have parted ways with Gunn. And again, let me emphasize this again. While I criticize how Disney has handled this, I don't criticize their decision. I don't agree with the decision, but I can see where they're coming from, and I can appreciate the position that they were put in. I can appreciate it. I wouldn't have made the same decisions they did, but I respect the decisions they made based on the circumstances that they were involuntarily put in. And so at this point, that's to me is what caused most of the problem. Not they fired him or they didn't fire him. It's the way they handled it that has caused a lot of people to get their backs up and go, now wait a minute here. So I think that's really the bigger issue here. So I honestly, look, I don't expect that they're going to bring James Gunn back. I really don't. Even if they wanted to right now, and there are clearly people within Disney that do, like Kevin Feige, Marvel wants to bring James Gunn back. Even if Disney wanted to, because of that statement Alan Horn made, they've backed themselves into a corner. They've painted themselves into a corner. They can't get out of it now. When your chairman comes out and says, I'm shocked to see what I've discovered. I'm severing all business relationships. There's nowhere you can go from there. There's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from it. So no, I do not expect Disney to bring him back. At first, I thought that firing James Gunn was always part of a long-term plan to fire him and then we'll rehire him later. But I don't believe that anymore. Like I used to think that. I don't think that anymore. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I understand. I've read all these stories about Marvel trying to convince Disney to let them bring him back and all that kind of stuff. And all that may be true. But I still do not believe that Alan Horn has painted himself and his company into a corner now, and there's no coming back from it. So I do not expect to see James Gunn brought back whatsoever. All right, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from Chef Cook, who writes, "Hey, John, I think the DCEU should call the Shazam movie Shazam and call me main character," I think you mean the main character, "and call the main character Captain Marvel because someone have to explain how Fred Freeman, a.k.a. Captain Marvel Jr., and Mary Batson, a.k.a. Mary Marvel, still have their names." No, they don't. They don't. No, first of all, I can guarantee you, Chef Cook, right now, 95% of the people watching this video, Fred Freeman, a.k.a. Captain Marvel Jr., and Mary Batson, a.k.a. Mary Marvel, is the first time they have ever heard those names. I guarantee you that. That's the first time they've ever heard those names. The second reason you can't do that is this. Captain Marvel is not his name anymore. It hasn't been for a few years. The character's name for a number of years now has been Shazam in the comic books. They decided, because Marvel is another publishing company, they have a character called Captain Marvel. Everybody knew Shazam as Shazam anyway, and years ago, they made the decision to officially change the character's name to Shazam. That's his name. In the comics, that is his name. So it really wouldn't have made any sense at all. It would have been completely contradictory, actually, to go into the movie and then call the character Captain Marvel in the movie. That would be confusing beyond anything because that's not his name in the comics. Now, as far as the Captain Marvel Jr. and Mary Marvel thing, I actually don't know that they still call them Mary Marvel. Now, look, I'm not pretending that I keep up on the Captain Marvel comics or ever did, or the Shazam comics, the individual comic runs. I'm not going to pretend that I did. But I'm not sure you're correct that they still call characters Mary Marvel. I know they still have Mary Batson, but I think she's called something else now. I know they still have the character Mary Batson, but I do not think they have a character called Mary Marvel or Captain Marvel Jr. anymore. I could be wrong about that. I could, but I don't think they do. But the bottom line here is this. What you're saying would make sense if in the comics his name was still Captain Marvel. But the fact is his name hasn't been Captain Marvel in the comics for a few years. His name in the comics is Shazam. Thus, in the movie, you got to call him what his name is. His name is Shazam, so that's the way it is now. Let's see here. Cameron W. writes, "Have you seen The Count of Monte Cristo?" Oh, yes, I have. I love that movie. 2002. One of my all-time favorites. Also, just realized that was young Henry Cavill playing Albert Mondego. A lot of people forget that Henry Cavill is also in one of my most underrated films of all time, Stardust. You got Superman and Daredevil and Claire Danes all in that movie. It's kind of cool. Anyway, yes, Count of Monte Cristo, 2002. Love that movie. I always forget how to pronounce Jim Caviezel. Is that how you say his last name? Anyway, leading up, Guy Pearce in it. I believe Guy Pearce, if I remember the story right, and I could be wrong about this, Guy Pearce was actually up for the lead in the film, and he ended up playing another character, which is fine. Guy Pearce is great. And I remember, I think that was coming off Memento. Guy Pearce is one of those guys that, for the life of me, I do not know why he didn't elevate to pure, legit A-list status in Hollywood. He's got all the acting chops. He has a number of really good films under his belt, some great performances. He's got all the movie star qualities. Honestly, I've never understood why Guy Pearce never cracked through to that upper echelon. And I've had the privilege of talking with him a couple times. Super nice guy, very knowledgeable about Hollywood history and things like that. I just don't know. But anyway, back to Count of Monte Cristo. Yes, I have seen the movie. Yeah, I really enjoyed that film. I think it's a really good one. And good observation about the Henry Cavill thing. All right, next up. Senator24 writes, "My favorite 1980s cartoon was Galaxy Rangers. Perfect space/western fare with an amazing soundtrack. Hope very much for an adaptation and live action show." I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I've never heard of it. So now I'm certainly not saying it's not awesome. I'm certainly not saying it wouldn't be great material to have a remake or a live action show. But I can't agree with it either because I've never even heard of it. What the hell is Galaxy Rangers? Let me look this up here. Galaxy Rangers. Okay, I'm seeing a poster here. Adventures of the Galaxy Rangers. Dudes on mechanical horses? I don't know. I've never seen it. I've never heard of it. But right now, there's a lot of you guys watching this video going, I love the Galaxy Rangers. I've never heard of it. I'll be honest with you. Never even heard of it. But thanks for putting it on my radar, Centaur. All right. John Harrison writes, Venom, Sony's Deadpool. What do you think? Not really. I've never really kind of seen it that way. They are very, very different characters. The only reason I think anybody would really try to draw any comparisons is that Deadpool's R, and the director said they were going to go for a rated R on Venom. But really, what you do with those characters are so fundamentally different. Not to mention, Venom is being used as a launch pad for your own movie universe. Deadpool was never really that. Yeah, really, there's no similarities at all other than both studios at one point were going for R ratings on them. Deadpool obviously did. Sounds like Sony's going to pare back Venom to be a hard PG-13 instead of R, which is fine. I mean, that's fine. But other than that R-rated thing, I really don't think there's any similarities between them. So, unless, John, you're thinking on a different level. No, I'm thinking of Venom being Sony's Deadpool in terms of this. Maybe, and I'm missing that. But like I said, off the top of my head, I really can't think of any similarities or any parallel lines between a Venom and a Deadpool other than the fact that there are studios that were both going for rated Rs. And it doesn't look like Venom's even going to be that. Outside of that, I just don't see a connection myself personally, unless I'm missing your point, which has been known to happen from time to time. All right, thanks for the message, John. Next one, Devontae Brown writes, but MoviePass basically said heavy users were unfair. Well, I don't know about that, Devontae. Like, basically, what Devontae's talking about is last week, MoviePass kind of put out a statement where in their statement, they highlighted something that is a factual truth. That a lot of their financial problems are due to people who really overuse the card. Like we'll see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies a month with their card. That, it's factually true. I mean, that's the truth. And I don't think it's ever unfair for a company, even if a company's in a bad situation because of their own damn fault, like MoviePass is. I'll never fault a company for just stating a factual truth. And the factual truth here is that a lot, not all, but a lot of MoviePass's financial woes come from the fact that people actually use their service. Now, you can't blame the users. You said, hey, pay $10 a month and see all the movies you want. You can't then get mad if they give you $10 and then use your card to see all the movies they want. That's what you advertised. Come on, guys, see one movie, see up to 30 movies a month. Just give us $10. Go nuts. Go watch all the movies you want. You can't then get mad at them if they give you $10 and then go and watch all the movies they want. So, I didn't really take that as blame. It's just stating an obvious truth. Look, if Billy Bob Jimbo gives me $10 and I'm MoviePass and then goes and sees one movie, fine. But as soon as he goes to see a second movie, it's coming out of my pocket. As soon as he goes to see a third movie, that's more money coming out of my pocket. If he sees 6 movies, that's basically $50 or $60 out of my pocket. The more movies he sees, the more in debt I am. That's a factual truth. Them pointing this out is not unfair. It's their own fault, but it's not unfair. And hence one of the big reasons why MoviePass has now changed to being a limit of 3 movies per month. And that will help. That will help. I don't know how many people will like that, but it will help. So we'll see how that all goes. Let's see. Brian Esparza writes, where did you get your Eeyore stuffed animal? Anne got it. I think she got it from Hasbro. I think she got it from work. But she's the one who grabbed it. And she gets, I mean, there's a lot of things in my office that you don't even see on camera that Anne got me from Hasbro. So, but the Eeyore, I believe, is one of those as well. All right. SG writes, let's see here. So many serious topics I could submit to have to state this. Angelica Pickles of Rugrats was one of the best villains on TV. Thoughts? I have never seen Rugrats. Cheers. Honestly, never seen a single thing of Rugrats. So, I have no thoughts. To be honest, the words Angelica Pickles has never come out of my mouth. I've never heard of Angelica Pickles, so I am unqualified. As in many things in life, I am unqualified to answer that question. Sorry about that, SG. Ben Rayner writes, I meant if they have to, Disney has an out with Dave Bautista with how Infinity War ended, trying not spoil. Let me read that one more time. I meant if they have to, Disney has an out with Dave Bautista with how Infinity War ended, trying not spoil. If you're saying is that they have an out with Dave Bautista, like if he decides not to come back and he asks not to come back and Disney allows him not to come back, that they have an out. They don't really have an out because somebody say, well, you know, and I'm a little bit of Infinity War spoilers here. The movie's now out on digital. If you've wanted to see Infinity War, you've had a chance. But with him being one of the people to disappear in the snap, you would have to now come up with a whole new convoluted explanation why some people from the snap come back and others don't. And that just convolutes things. You're best at that point, in my opinion, just to recast the character. It would be much less disruptive, in my opinion, just to recast the character at that point. So I don't think Drax disappearing the snap gives Disney an out. If anything, the way I see it, that actually adds to the complication of the situation. Because if they do whatever magical thing they need to do in Avengers 4 that brings everybody from the snap back, you're going to have to explain why some people don't. Like, why did all of the rest of them come back but not Drax? We don't know. Like it just adds another layer of complication. So it would be less complicated at that point just to recast the dude. And I'm all for recasting. If you want to recast. But I think that would probably be their better option at that point. Chris Cosin writes, did you ever watch the original Teen Titans 2003 animated show? If so, did you like it? I basically don't like any of the DC stuff, animated stuff, nor any of the Marvel animated stuff. There are a very few exceptions. But generally speaking, the animated stuff, particularly the animated stuff that's targeted at kids, I've never liked any of it from either Marvel or DC. So yeah, there's kind of that. John Romano LMT writes, hey John, love the show. Been watching since the Curtain days. Any news on the Logan's Run remake? I know. And you know what? Logan's Run, I know for years Bryan Singer was trying to get a Logan's Run remake. And I remember I talked about it. Okay, the last official bit of news was in March when they made an announcement that Simon Kinberg was going to direct. Now, of course, Simon Kinberg is a very experienced and seasoned vet when it comes to writing and producing movies. He's directing his first movie, The X-Men Dark Phoenix. That's going to be the very first movie he directs. I don't like it. I don't like that you give a big tentpole project to somebody's first directorial effort. That very rarely works out well. But at any rate, but let's see if there's been anything new. All that. The last bit of stuff we heard, and this was back in March, was Kinberg was asked about it, and he mentioned they might make it a female lead. Other than that, I have not heard of anything else since then. I've not heard of anything else since then. So really, that's the last bit of news I've heard on it. I just remember going back a while, I was like, Bryan Singer was very, very big on remaking that movie. I can't remember why that kind of fell apart on him. But at any rate, there's where we're at. All right, Chris Cosin writes, will we ever get a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic film? No, I don't think we will. What we will, I assume, what I'm guessing, I'm speculating. What I do think will happen at some point is we will get Old Republic material. I believe we'll get Old Republic material in Star Wars. But a true, legit adaptation, Star Wars Knights of the Republic, nah, I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see. Somber Castle writes, Did you know MoviePass was priced at $30 years ago? I was a MoviePass member. And actually, I was paying $40 a month. I was paying $40 a month for my MoviePass. Now that was worth it to me because it just means I needed to see 4 movies in a month, and I'm already saving money. So yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, MoviePass has been around a long time. They didn't just suddenly sprout into existence when they dropped their price to $10 a month. And they had different plans, whatever, but in LA, they charged you more in LA and New York for understandable reasons because it's more expensive to see movies here. They charged you more in LA and New York for MoviePass than they did with a lot of other states and cities across the country. And, my mom's home from the hospital, so I keep my phone by me now whenever my mom tries to get hold of me. Yeah, so they charged us more. So I was actually paying $40. I got an email notification from them once saying they were going to up the LA price to like $45. And at that point I went, I'm barely getting my value out of it at 40. At 45, that kind of tips the scales. And that's when I first canceled my MoviePass membership. When they reintroduced it at $10 a month, well, then I'm like, well, hey, it worked for me at 40. Certainly it works for me at 10. So I signed up for it again, and then I canceled it again after all their nonsense. But yeah, the MoviePass used to be far more expensive. All right. Jonathan Blasberg writes, why don't you review more movies? Not to be rude, just curious. Yeah, I used to review a lot of movies. Honestly, here's the main reason. And I'm trying right now to figure out where I fall in this. I used to review a ton of movies. Here's the problem. I don't like driving. I don't. I know a lot of people love driving. I hate driving. I especially hate driving in Los Angeles. I hate driving in Los Angeles. Hate it. With a passion, I hate it. Anyway, most of the press screenings take place far from where I live. In some cases, like an hour drive. In some cases, 25 minutes to a half-hour drive, which isn't so bad. But I still don't like doing it. Particularly trying to get from Burbank to Hollywood in the evening, going through the Barham Pass, can be a nightmare. It should be about a 15-minute drive. It can take up to 40 minutes, depending on the traffic. It's a nightmare. And so I'll be honest with you, more and more over the past couple of months, I've just been skipping the press screenings. I've just been skipping them. Just because I don't want the hassle of I don't want to drive 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. There's an hour of my life I can't get back. I just don't want to do it. And fortunately, I have no boss to tell me that I have to do it. So even when I was at some of the other places I was running, I just started sending other people to go see the movies because I just don't like it. Now, when I got my channel started again, I started going to all the press screenings, but it's such a waste of my time. So I started skipping a lot of them. Not to mention, I don't get like tons of, yes, one review I do can get like 80,000 views. Great. But is that worth what I got to put into it? Then I had this rule for myself that I don't review a film once it's hit the theaters. I'm starting to reconsider that rule. And I'm starting to think, well, look, John, if you're not going to go to the press screenings that are further away, and when there's a press screening on the Warner Brothers lot, and there's a press screening on the Disney lot, that's like a 10-minute drive for me from my place. Easy. I could walk there in an hour if I really wanted to. So that's fine. I'll go to those. But like I said, most of them are either in Hollywood or worse, they're at the AMC Century City, which is all the way out near Santa Monica, and I hate going out there. So I just made a choice for myself. I don't want to bother doing them. But I had a little conversation with myself the other day, and I was like, self, if you don't want to make the drive to go to those press screenings, then maybe you should reconsider not doing movies once they release. So self, go see the movies Thursday night when they open on their first screenings. You've got AMC A-List, self. Just go over there and watch them and put up the reviews the day they come out. I'm starting to consider doing that. Like I did review Meg the other day. So Meg, my review for the Meg is up now. So yeah, so I'll still go to press screenings that are fairly close. I'll skip the press screenings that are further away, but the press screenings I skip, I think what I'm going to start doing is just making sure I see them the opening Thursday night and then review them right away. And yes, my reviews will get less views because they're not out a week early like others people's reviews are, but you know what? If that means I don't have to make that mind-numbingly painful drive to me, because I know to most people, they don't mind drives. Most of you don't mind driving. That's great. That's awesome. I bet there's things you hate that I don't mind. But I hate driving. Oh my God, in Los Angeles, I hate driving. Which is like whenever I hired an assistant, I'd always tell them, look, sorry, but one of your jobs is going to be to drive me places. They might be press screenings from it. You may have to drive me places. And sure enough, I would often get them to drive me places because I just hated that. Hated it so much. Anyway, you're going to start seeing me do more movie reviews on the site because I think I'm going to change my policy on not reviewing movies that are now in theaters. And I understand they won't get as many views. That's fine. If I don't have to make the drive, I'll accept that because it's a big deal to me. I hate it. I shouldn't hate it. Other people don't hate it, but I hate it, and therefore I skip a lot of that stuff. All right, thanks for asking, man. All right, Super Famous Pro writes, who would you love to see play Black Canary in Birds of Prey? I'm hoping Vanessa Kirby. Loved her Mission Impossible Fallout. Yeah, the Blob, she was very good in Mission Impossible Fallout. I don't care. That's whenever anybody asks me, John, which actor should play X role? My answer is always, I don't care. As long as it's a talented actress. That's all I care about. Make it a talented actress and it will work. Make it a talented actress who at least modestly meets the physical requirements of the role. A minimal physical requirements, but as long as you got an actress who is talented that meets the minimum physical requirements for the role, then I'm all for it. I don't care. Would Vanessa Kirby be good in that? Yes, she'd be good in it. Are there a list of 40 other good actresses' names that you could list that I would go, yes, those would be good people for it? Yes. So, but that is my answer to every time somebody asks me, John, which actor should play X? I'm always, I don't care as long as it's a good actor or actress. As long as it's a talented actor or actress, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, History Soup writes, Lucifer Theory, Charlotte returns as Angel. This was a question that came up, I believe, on an open mic that YouTube or the John Campea Show, that YouTube, that just as I started to answer the question, YouTube froze. It wasn't my computer or anything. It was like YouTube just froze and we lost stream. So I decided to take this question and add it to the companion video just so I could actually give an answer. All right. So in the TV show Lucifer, there's a character named Charlotte who was for a time Lucifer's mother. She was the goddess of all creation, married to God. But she took over this woman Charlotte's body. Lucifer's mother left to go to another universe. I know this is, for those of you who don't watch Lucifer, you're thinking, this sounds crazy. It's great, though. I love Lucifer. So anyway, then the Charlotte character dies at some point. So could she return as an angel? I'm going to say no, because that is not how it works. Either in traditional theology, nor in the mythology of the Lucifer TV show. In neither traditional theology or the mythology of the Lucifer TV show, people do not become angels. Angels are a completely different species. They're a completely different species of creature. Humans, when they die, both in the mythology of Lucifer and in traditional theology, do not become angels. They go to heaven, they do whatever they do, but they don't become angels. Angels are a completely different species. So, Charlotte coming back as an angel, that's not how the mythology of Lucifer in the TV show works, and it's not how traditional theology works. So, on that basis, I will say no, Charlotte. Now, Charlotte could return in some way, shape, or form as something. I don't know, but she won't come back as an angel because that breaks the canon of the TV show, and there's not any basis for it in like traditional Judeo-Christian theology either. So I'm going to guess no, she's not going to come back. Although I do love her. Tricia Helfer, who was great as a Cylon in Battlestar Galactica, she was great in the role of Charlotte. I loved her in that show. I'd love to see her come back, but I certainly don't expect to come back as an angel. All right, Jojo Ashen writes, seen the In My Feelings music video. Drake can act. I respect your opinion. I will never, like, Drake, by the way, good Canadian kid. But never take a music video and say, that person can act. Never, ever, ever take that from a music video. Now, I'm not saying Drake can't act. Remember, Drake was an actor before he was a rapper. Right? Let's not forget that. He was an actor before he was a rapper. So I'm certainly not saying Drake can't act, not at all. I'm just saying I would never base an opinion on whether or not somebody can or cannot act from what they do in a music video. I would never do that. So I have not seen the video, but I can tell you right now, no matter, he could be Marlon Brando in it, and it would still not change my opinion that does not mean he can act. That's a different thing. But again, keep in mind, he was an actor before he was a rapper. Dalton Burdett writes, hey, John, love your show. Thank you so much, Dalton. Do you have any friends that were named after famous movie characters? For example, my parents were so 80s that they named me after Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. Dalton, I love Roadhouse. Oh my God, I love Roadhouse. And how great was Sam Elliott in Roadhouse? That movie is so good. Be nice. If they do this, then be nice. And then I'll tell you when it's time to not be nice. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. That movie's great. I love that. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head except for a child. Ann and I have these friends, Matt and Jaylyn. And Ann and Jaylyn have been friends since, I think since grade school. They've been friends since grade school. And actually, for those of you who've been watching me for a long time, back when I used to do a solo show and it was called For Your Consideration, for a few months, I had a regular co-host named Matt. And that's the Matt I'm talking. Matt's great. If Matt didn't have a full-time job, I would have Matt on my shows more often. Because Matt's great. I love Matt. He's incredibly, he's really smart, but he's very funny. Really a funny dude. I loved having him on my show. But anyway, circumstances don't allow it. But anyway, so Matt and Jaylyn, just had a kid. Well, it's been a little while now. But anyway, they had a kid, and they literally named him Obi. And yes, it is after Obi-Wan Kenobi. And little Obi has the greatest name in the world. So it's not named after celebrity, it's named after a movie character. Granted, that's a little bit different, but it is the greatest example that I've ever seen Obi. Because yeah, you can name your kid Luke, sure. But to name your kid something that is so unmistakably Star Wars, Obi. The only other thing they could have named is maybe name the kid 3PO. I mean, that's pretty obviously, or Han. But even then, Han, I mean, that you might be confused because Jaylyn is Asian, so maybe that doesn't sound so odd. Name him Obi. There's no mistake in that. That's a Star Wars reference. So that's the one that stands out to me. Okay, let's see here. Jojo Ashton writes, I think he should return to acting soon. Oh, talking about the Drake thing. Yeah, so by saying return, you clearly realize and know that he used to be an actor. I don't know if he should return to acting. He's not because I don't think he can act. I have no opinion about whether he can act or not. But there's no denying he's having incredible success in his chosen career. So why do acting? Why do acting at that point? When you're so successful in the career that he's got, I don't know why you'd go to do acting at that point. Comic Game writes, hope to get more Hulk in Avengers 4. I mean, I love the Hulk character in the MCU. It's tough, though, because I mean, one of the problems with Infinity War is that it is overpacked. And it's very top heavy. And you can and the Russo brothers do a masterful job of dealing with all of that. So many storylines, so many characters, all this kind of stuff, and they do a great job with it, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you can still feel how heavy it is. And it's neat when you listen to the commentary, the Russos pretty much acknowledge that. Like, this is a very stuffed movie, and it is. Like, every scene has to have multiple things going on in it. Every character has to have this. Like, it is kind of overfull. It is our reflex as movie fans to say we want more of what we like. I love Hulk. It would have been great to see more Hulk. But always remember, in situations like this, you can't add more of anything without taking away. And I don't know how you give more Hulk without taking out characters. Now, in Avengers 4, at least for a good chunk of the movie, half the characters are gone. So there's going to be more screen time available for the characters that still remain. So, that being the case, I do think de facto we are going to get more Hulk in Avengers 4. Because there's a lot more screen space available now. With all those characters wiped out and gone, that creates a little bit more breathing room for the filmmakers to say, hey, okay, now we can have a little bit more Captain America, and apparently there's going to be a big major story. I think the main basis of Avengers 4 is going to be Cap's story. I'm just interpreting that from the Russo brothers director's commentary on Infinity War, but it sounds like they have a major big plan for Captain America in Avengers 4. But with all those characters gone, at least for a good chunk of the movie, you've got breathing room for a big Captain America story. More Hulk, more Tony, more whatever it is you want to have more of. It looks like they've got some breathing room for it now. So here's hoping. I do think we're going to get more Hulk in Avengers 4 just because of that. There's so many characters that are not going to be around for at least a good chunk of the movie. Rohit Mukundan writes, Batman and Robin was the first superhero film I saw in theater, so it'll always have a special place in my heart, or have a place in my heart. My dad hated every minute of it, though. I think a lot of people hated every minute of it. But you know what? You're right. That's the cool thing about these movies and films. You know, you see one in a particular set of circumstances or in a particular way, and because of that, it will always have a special place to you, and never apologize for that. Yes, I think Batman and Robin is a dumpster fire. Yes, absolutely. And clearly your dad does too. But you know what? It's the first comic book movie you saw in the theater. So no matter how good or bad it is, it's always going to have a special place in your heart. Your first girlfriend you had, maybe she's a total jerk now. But that first girl you really had feelings with will always have a special place in your heart. The first movie you see in a theater will always have a special... First movie I ever saw in the movie theaters without my parents, right? As a kid, the first time I went to the movies without my parents, I just went with a friend, was a Kenny Rogers movie called Six Pack. Terrible movie. But you know what? That movie will always have a special place in my heart. The first comic book movie I went to the movie theaters to see was with my best friend, who died last year. Was the Tim Burton Batman movie. And me and Brendan, we went to Jackson Square in downtown Hamilton. It was the first time I'd ever seen a line for a movie. This line went all the way through the mall, outside into the downtown streets. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like it before. But that movie it's not my favorite comic book film of all time. No. But that movie will always have a special place in my heart because that was the first one I saw in movie theaters. The first comic book movie I went to see in theaters. And so never apologize for it, man. ZCM Zombie writes, is this the right one to ask? Are you going to review The Meg? The Meg, I did review it just the other day. It is now up on my YouTube channel. ZCM follows it up. Thoughts on Castle Rock? I loved the first 2 episodes, but much like another Hulu show, Cloak and Dagger, I need this show to pick up. Really, I mean, the first episode or 2 hooked me in, much like Cloak and Dagger did. And then I've just been kind of, okay, get on with it. I gotta admit, I haven't been loving it lately, but I'm still on board with it. I'm still watching it. And I'm just hoping that it kind of picks up. Guy Lamette writes, greetings from Kingston, Ontario. I love Kingston. I used to have a cottage out there on Big Rito and Little Rito and all in that whole area there. I like Kingston very much. So humid out. Just wanted to say you motivate me daily when I do my painting business. Who would be funnier? Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much for saying that, man. I appreciate that. Who would be funnier as J. Jonah Jameson, Ice Cube or Kevin Hart? God bless. I don't know. It really all depends on how you write the character. It really all depends on how the character is written. There's a certain way you could write him that Ice Cube would work better as Jay. But if you write him differently and in a different way, then Kevin Hart becomes better as it. Considering J. Jonah is also supposed to be this intimidating figure, I'll lean towards Ice Cube. But again, it really all depends on how you write him. But simply on the basis that J. Jonah is supposed to be this imposing presence, this intimidating presence, like he dominates every room he's in and blah, blah, blah. I'll go with Ice Cube. He carries more of that ambiance with him, if you will. I think he carries a little bit more, so I'll lean that way. But again, it all depends on the script. Let's see. Jordan's channel writes, at what point is the James Gunn thing bad for PR for Disney? Oh, it was bad PR from them from the beginning. Again, let us not lose sight of this, that the reason everybody's in this predicament is because of James Gunn. This is James Gunn's fault. And the first person who will tell you it's James Gunn's fault is James Gunn. He'll be the first one to tell you this is his fault. We're not having these discussions if he didn't make those ridiculous tweets. Now, granted, I understand they were in exchanges with a friend of his. They were joking. I get all that. They were still stupid and things you don't say publicly. Yes, I get it. He was working at Troma. The whole thing is that they make shock value films and they're supposed to be all about shock and all. I get that. I understand that. I know that. You guys don't have to keep telling me that. I know. But even though all those things are true, it doesn't change the fact that they were stupid. And it does not change that. Like, yes, you can say, but John, some alt-right wing, like, idiot re-brought them, dug them up. Okay, fine, but he's not the one who wrote them. James is. And he knows it. And he changed. He stopped doing that. Years ago, James Gunn said, that's kind of insensitive and dumb, and I thought it was just being funny, and they're not funny. They're insensitive and they're dumb. So I'm not going to write stuff like that anymore. And he stopped. That should be the end of it, but it's not. But again, that doesn't change the fact that it's his fault. Disney was in a bad PR position right from the get-go. Disney was in a position of damned if you do and damned if you don't. Do we fire him? Well, we're going to get backlash. Do we not fire him? Well, we're going to get backlash. Is there a better way to handle it that we can minimize backlash? Yeah, there probably was, but unfortunately, Alan Horn made the statement that he made, and he backed him into an even worse corner. But still, it's James Gunn's fault. So, and this has been bad for PR. And again, I feel kind of bad for Disney because they didn't ask for any of this. Disney did not ask to be in this position. Disney did not cause this situation. It was a situation that Disney was involuntarily dropped in. And it was bad for PR no matter what they did. The only question becomes, how do we minimize the bad PR? And that's really it's a no-win situation for them. And while I disagree with their decisions, I still understand the decisions they made. They just must have handled it much differently. Let's see. So I love this name. Celestial Marmalade asks the final question of the day. And it's, hey, John, I have a film recommendation for you guys. Sexy Beast starring Ray Winston and Ben Kingsley. Wonderful movie. Wonderful movie. It's a great film that not a lot of people talk about. Hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. I mean, you're right. They don't retroactively, but at the time it got some awards consideration. It's again, Ben Kingsley has made some very bad career choices. Like, he's been in some very bad movies, but he's also continued to be in some excellent films that there's a reason that dude has an Oscar on his mantle. There's a reason he's as respected as he is. Yes, he's done some ridiculous, stupid movies, but he's also, at the same time, while doing those movies, he's done some other great projects that don't get the headlines or the highlights, much like Sexy Beast. House of Sand and Fog, by the way. If you want to talk about great Ben Kingsley films, House of Sand and Fog is another one that's very much in kind of the vein of Sexy Beast in the sense that not a lot of people talk about it post, but it's brilliant. Very, very good film, and you should check that out. So thanks so much, and clearly Celestial wrote that in on Tuesday. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment, or at least this particular installment. I might have another one a little bit later. This installment of the companion videos. Now, for some of you out there who might be thinking, hey, I know there were more questions asked than that. You're right. I still got a bunch more, and I'll catch up on those with some more companion videos as well. We still got a bunch we got to get through, but that'll just wrap it up for now. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.